John and Tom stand tall, discussing corruption, answering the call. Osceola's whispers, the truth we unveil. With each podcast episode, we set sail. Unsanctioned voices, we won't be ignored. Taking through lies, we strike a chord. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. John and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. Politicians trembling, they know we're awake. With facts on our side, we're here to shake. From local elections to making it clear, together we rise, let's spread the fear. Shining the light, the darkness won't last. In Osceola's depths, we're breaking the cast. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. John and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. Shining the light, the darkness won't last. In Osceola's depths, we're breaking the cast. Unsanctioned truth, we're here for the fight. John and Tom shining through the night. With every debate, we're raising the stakes, taking down villains for justice's sake. So tune in each week, don't miss the show. John and Tom will help you know.
You can get some.
Chair of the Florida Democratic Party here in Orange County with another incredible chair in the state of North Carolina. Anderson Clayton is here in the state of Florida to make sure that we together are taking back this country.
And getting out to vote. So please, Florida, make sure that you do. We both in North Carolina and Florida sit in super minorities right now for the Democrats in our state legislature. And we've seen abortion rights be stripped from folks across our states this last year with Republicans that have taken over our states. So please make sure that you get out and vote, take shifts with the Florida Democratic Party, and let's do everything we can to defeat Donald Trump this November.
That's right, because when North Carolina and Florida go Kamala Harris, game over. So we'll see you in November.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
I'm a Republican.
And I'm a Democrat.
I'll be voting for President Trump.
And I'm backing Vice President Kamala Harris.
We don't agree on much,
Hardly anything.
but we do agree on this.
Amendment 3 is good for Florida.
That's right. It legalizes marijuana for adult use, giving freedom to Floridians.
And justice for our community.
More funding for police.
And our schools.
Through regulation and testing.
Vote yes on Amendment 3.
It's not about politics. It's about Florida.
Wow, John, there was a lot to take in those first two videos, and I truly can't believe what I'm seeing in either one of them. First, the first one with Nikki Fried and Anderson Clayton, the Democratic chair of North Carolina. She looks like she's 15 years old. I'm sorry. She looks like a teenager. Very sad state. But once again, they show you that all they have going into this election is abortion. That's their big takeaway for this election cycle. That's what they're campaigning on. And Joe Gruters, shame on you for doing this video with Chevron Jones. I just can't believe it, John.
Yeah, you're okay. First of all, the North Carolina thing. If I had a chairman that looked like a 12-year-old, I mean, she looks like Doogie Howser. If you child, we already have a child congressman in Maxwell Frost. Now they have a child chair of the Democratic Party in North Carolina. Clearly, she does not. There's a reason why there's a super majority of Republicans in North Carolina. It's because they clearly have no talent in North Carolina with the Democrat Party. And it's the same case here in Florida. Why are the Democrats losing their seats? Even when the GOP spends 90% of its time fighting against Republicans, because the Democrats have no talent, which is how Nikki Fried got the job, right? She was one of the least talented people in the state. Perfect. You're chair of the Democrat Party now. You just met the one qualification. It's crazy. The video looks unhinged. They both look like unhinged, crazy cat ladies, right? I'm surprised that they're still with the Democratic Party, considering that they're eating cats. Democrats are eating the cats all over the country. But nonetheless, there they are. So, welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned Florida. We're going to talk about Amendment 3, and I'm going to save my comments until then. I have a lot to say about that. Actually, I don't know that we have an Amendment 3 story later on in the show, so let me tell you about it now.
We're talking about Amendment 4 in the show, but Amendment 3, I'm just shocked. But we talked about this in the pre-show. I think that absolutely there's a lot of money involved that came to make that video with Joe Gruters and Chevron Jones, because you would never see Joe Gruters, the former chair of the Republican Party of Florida, do a video with Chevron Jones, an ultra liberal, to come out in support of legalized marijuana in the state of Florida. There's so many things wrong with Amendment 3, and I think you know everything that's wrong with this amendment. It's not just about people being allowed to smoke pot recreationally. There's other things about this amendment that truly suck.
It's based on, just like Amendment 4, it's based on lies.
Yeah.
This is the biggest problem with Amendment 3. This isn't about smoking weed, right? This is about the lie that people are willing to tell to get what they want. The people who benefit from this aren't the everyday Floridians. The people who benefit from this are mega marijuana companies. That's who benefits, right? Number one. Number two, this is not going to help the police. It's not going to help education any more than the lottery has helped education throughout Florida. It hasn't. Our kids are still at 50% reading proficiency and math proficiency, being on grade level, right? So this is a farce. They're promising you more sin to combat sin, and sin is never going to win over sin. You're going to defeat sin is with more sin. It's bad for Florida. I've traveled the world. I've never seen a place where legalized marijuana has helped society or has helped the community. It doesn't happen like that. It makes either no change at all or it's detrimental to the community. And that's the same with Amendment 3 in Florida. If Amendment 3 passes, you're going to see a lot more people smoking weed all the time. They're going to say, oh, well, no smoking in public. Okay, well, all you do is stay a little further away and then you smoke weed in front of kids. That's going to happen. What are people going to do? People are going to be standing in the parking lot when you're taking your kids to Chili's. I don't eat at Chili's. I think it's gross. But nonetheless, you're going to be standing in the parking lot of whatever restaurant you go to, and you're going to be taking your kids out of the car, taking your baby out of the baby seat, and people are going to be smoking weed in the parking lot before they win. That's what's going to happen. That's a real situation that's going to happen, right? You're going to find people smoking weed on the street all over the place in Florida. science because they will provide you the perception of clean family fun, right? Although they're willing to transgenderize your child. But they want to present you with this image of clean family fun. Instead of being the image, the fake image by a fake company of this image of clean family, why can't it just be a state with clean family?
No.
Why do we have to be fake? Why does it have to be a fake perception of clean family? Why can't we just be clean families? So, I'm not, listen, and I'm not some kind of Puritan that's against smoking weed. I've smoked weed before, but I smoke weed. It's not like I'm some Puritan. I don't care if you smoke weed. I don't judge people with weed. It's not a big deal to me. I don't care much about it. But when you make everything legal and you put it on the street for Main Street to consume and Main Street to be exposed to, that's not good for society.
No,
That's not good for society.
It's not.
What's next? Cocaine, right? What's next? Acid, right? Now you're going to have even more people driving on marijuana because it's decriminalized.
Yeah.
And they're going to say, oh, well, it's just going to be like alcohol. You're not going to be allowed. Yeah, but you're going to increase the amount of people. When alcohol, when you could drink and drive, obviously more people were doing it. You're not going to be able to smoke weed, but it's much harder to control weed behind the wheel than it is alcohol. You can't do a breathalyzer for weed.
Yeah.
Let's talk about something else now. Sorry, that's my view on that issue.
All right.
The GOP threw itself.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that? So the GOP can coordinate for a rhino to dispatch a MAGA Republican. They'll spend millions of dollars, right, to clear the field for an idiot like Eric Booth, who's a huge rhino, right? But they don't talk to Gruters and be like, "Hey, Gruters, don't do it." Now, they're not going to control Gruters. He's a state senator. They're never going to be able to pull his strings. He's been running for state office. They're not going to control him. But nonetheless, the party can't control itself.
No.
So I mean, it just makes no sense. We always look like idiots. Everybody, thank God that people aren't really that interested in politics, right? It's like 15% of all the population that really understand politics or perceive politics at a different level. But the 85% of the people don't care at all. And thank God for that, because
About the show tonight, John, is that the Republican Party here in Florida, we had the Democrats on the ropes. They're done. But for whatever reason, John, the Republican Party of Florida keeps throwing lifelines to the Democrats, keeps throwing them a life raft. Here, we're going to save you from drowning.
Good, hardworking Republicans.
No. All right, so let's do our prayer. Let's get into the show, John.
All right, let's do it. Lord, as many problems as we have in our wonderful state, in the great free state of Florida, we know that there's room to grow. And the way that we grow into a better state is by getting closer to you, obeying your laws, obeying your will, and surrendering ourselves to you. That's the way that we get to be a better society, a better community, a better state, and a better country. We pray that you inspire people to do the right thing during these elections and then beyond the elections, within their communities, within their families, within their lives. And we ask for this in your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, let's get into the state of Florida, John. All right, John. So starting off, all right, this park story isn't going away. More has come out about this. And supposedly, or at least it seems, that this proposal for golf courses and hotels in the state parks was further along than the governor let on. Here's the video.
Put the brakes on plans to build on state parks. The governor said the plan was in its infancy. But tonight, we dig deeper with our partners at PolitiFact. We're putting facts into focus and checking what the governor said. And here's NBC6's Chris Hush with what they found.
Public backlash after communities throughout the state learned of a plan that would build on state parks. Here locally, for example, Mizell Eula Johnson State Park in Dania Beach would get pickleball courts on a parking lot there. At Alita River State Park, the plan calls for 10 additional cabins, a frisbee golf course, as well as pickleball courts. Public outcry was so intense, the state's Department of Environmental Protection proposal was met with bipartisan opposition, including pushback from Republicans.
It was not approved by me. I never saw that.
Caving to public pressure, the governor told the press the plan is now on hold, but not before blaming the whole debacle on an intentional leak.
A lot of that stuff was just half-baked and it was not ready for prime time.
We rated that mostly false. This was really far along in the process.
Our friends at PolitiFact say state documents show otherwise. They say the governor is not telling the whole story.
I think the reality is very different here.
They describe the governor's response as disingenuous. Before the press got a hold of the story, the plans were moving along.
There was a sophisticated social media rollout. There was a press release. There was a website where things were uploaded, public documents, public reports, studies.
Meetings had been planned simultaneously around the state. Those upset by the whole process feel it was an effort to ram the plans through.
By state government standards, this plan was not one in its infancy, but in its final stages.
You heard the governor say he didn't know, but we must know. The state's Department of Environmental Protection is overseen by the governor's office. In fact, the governor appoints the head of the department. Governor Ron DeSantis says the state won't move forward with anything this year. Instead, they'll reach out to local communities to see what they want. In the studio, I'm Chris Hush, NBC6 News.
All right, John. So this is what I'm talking about. One of those lifelines, those rafts that he's throwing out, and it's just unbelievable to me how he would think that no one would be upset by this. I just don't know, John.
It's ridiculous. I mean, the truth is somewhere in the middle here, right? Did the governor outright lie? No, they said, and they didn't say that he outright lied. They say that he was like being disingenuous, and maybe he had heard about it and whatever. But clearly, the governor's not focused on putting up pickleball courts. His job, and that's not what his number one priority is going to be. Putting a pickleball court anywhere. It doesn't matter whether it's approved or loved or whatever. He's gonna, I mean, as far as I know, he's never even played pickleball. So it's not like they're trying to put the blame on him, and the blame isn't necessarily well placed on the governor of the state for this problem. The governor does appoint that guy, but he also appoints a million different bureaucrats all over the state. So it's not like, this is not a big focus. Now, here's the bad part on the governor. I guarantee you what did happen here. I can't guarantee you. I'm speculating, but I'm speculating with a little bit of knowledge. The connections and the friends he built in order to run for president were thinking about, I want to put a pickleball court and a car. I want to develop these state parks and make money here, right?
Yeah.
And because they have connections with the governor, they made the whatever, and they don't necessarily need the approval of the governor for every specific thing. And so this is probably something that took a life of its own, and he didn't see any problem with it. Oh, this sounds nice. It's a parking lot. Is it okay to put a pickleball court on the parking lot? It's not. They act like if there's some like a gopher turtle habitat or something. No, it's a parking lot, guys. Okay, are they like dispatching a cougar in the middle of the road like patients in Springfield, Ohio, in order to do this? No, they're putting a pickleball court on a parking lot. It's okay. No. Okay, it's not the catastrophe, the environmental catastrophe that they're pitching. The Democrats are pitching.
Yeah, and
certainly it's a great topic.
The more egregious things are the golf courses and things like that, John. Yeah, those are the things that are going to make people upset. The pickleball court in a parking lot, I don't think people really care so much about that, but
Yeah. Well, here's the real impact isn't to his reputation. And this is part of the intro. To me, it's the bigger story here, which Democrats, they're not necessarily capitalizing on because, at the end of the day, it's very uniparty in Florida, right? So these guys are, they're surviving. They're leaving a lot of meat on the table in order to not dispatch the Republicans over it. And that is the fact that there's a war going on within the Republican Party. And I suspect that this leak was part of that, right? Like there's people who are against DeSantis. There's people. So you have instead of having like a bipartisan war where it's Democrats versus Republicans, you have Republicans against Republicans against Republicans against Republicans against the Democrats.
Yeah.
You know?
And where did this all start? Where did it come from?
Yeah, it was internal.
Yeah.
It was an internal leak, right? And so the internal leak put it out. Who knows why? What the motivation was? But certainly this is not as simple of a story as we expect it to be. Clearly, it's a GOP mistake, just like we see with Amendment 3. The Republicans call in on Amendment 3 and Amendment 4, and then Joe Gruters, the former chairman of the Republican Party, who knows, got a golden ticket, and then he fights against the amendment on the sides of the case. Is that damaging? Absolutely. Is it worth the money that they're paying him to do that? I am again speculating that he got a fee for that. Absolutely, because that's damaging to the.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely. Well, this guy, John,
and is this damaging the reputation of DeSantis? Absolutely, this is damaging to the reputation of DeSantis.
Yeah. You know, this guy that this Joe Gruters, and it's just crazy to me to see him do this. It's all about money, though. I'm almost 100% sure about that. Millions of dollars there. You know, John Morgan's pushing Amendment 3 very hard. And, you know, we'll see what comes of it. We'll see what happens in November. But this guy here, John, this guy is saying that he is the whistleblower who told everybody about the state park plan. He says he was fired but had to stop the madness. He has no regrets. This is a picture of the guy. He's a former Florida state employee who leaked the details on the plans to add golf courses, pickleball courts, and lodges at state parks. Says he was fired last week from his job at the Department of Environmental Protection, but doesn't regret making the proposals public. James Gaddis, 41, was a cartographer in the Office of Park Planning, where he said he was personally tasked with drawing the plans to add amenities to 9 state parks, including the 3 golf courses at Jonathan Dickinson State Park. Where is it? Let me see. There's one. There it is. Okay. So this is his quote. I was drawing the golf course polygons and putting a point down where the hotel was going to go in Anastasia State Park, which is near St. Augustine. And I was already disgusted, but it just kept getting worse and worse. I said, what am I mapping out here is too bad and too egregious, and I just can't take this anymore. So that's the supposed whistleblower, and that's his explanation for doing what he did.
That makes sense. I mean, come on. Is there an element of truth to that? Of course there is. This sounds like development gone crazy, right? This is what we all experience. A lot of us know who are involved in watching what the government's doing, watching how the state is developing. We see these developers, and they're like, let's put a pickleball court on that parking lot. Hey, you know what we should do? If we just knock that one tree down over there, we could do a squash court over there, you know? And then, you know what? Squash court, let's build a golf course. What a great idea. All we do is level this back here with taking up all the room. I mean, that's how developers are, right? It gets out of control and everything becomes bigger. It's the same thing for us when we do home improvement, right? At first, you're just changing out the knob on a drawer, and the next thing you know that you're replacing the tiles in your kitchen. So we're all familiar with this, and this is an out of control project that went that way, and they capitalized it right away politically because that's, you know, we know what's going on politically in Florida, and you know, it is what it is. It's still ridiculous. It was a bad plan, no community input, bad use of relationships, and bad result, and now egg in the face.
Yeah, absolutely, John. And this is like what I said. It's a lifeline to Democrats here in the state of Florida because, as you can see here, Carlos Guillermo Smith, somebody you know very well, is saying that he's going to see a legislative investigation to follow the money and discover exactly what's behind this plan to pave over our state parks and golf courses and hotels. Now, we are not fans of Carlos Guillermo Smith. All right. We'd love to see him taken out. We're not fans of this guy. But, you do
But the
things
GOP
like this.
deserve them.
Yeah, you do things like this without seeking community
deserves them.
input. You anger the residents, and then he jumps on it, and he's like, "Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." It's just don't give them these lifelines.
From the beginning to end, they allow this guy who's completely and totally unqualified, untalented, the DEI pick, for the Democrat Party, and you have to be a guy with a husband, and then the Democratic Party, they want you to be a candidate, and so that he checks that box. They throw him in, he gets a state house seat. He lost the state house seat, and then boom, he runs for state senate. The Republican Party doesn't mount a single person. They allow him to raise all this money and be the guaranteed guy. So of course, now he's going to be a fixture in Central Florida. I can't help but think that the GOP did this on purpose to themselves, because they did not field the candidate. Should have. It would have hurt them financially. Let them fight it out. Let them duke it out. Let them win the seat. Instead, they just gave it to him like candy. It's ridiculous. And now he's going to be a bigger problem they probably expect. He's going to make him pay because this guy spends more time looking in the mirror than he does reading legislation, I promise you.
Yeah, I'm sure of that, John. I'm sure of that. So more, John, more on this. Florida okayed giving 324 acres of state forest to a golf course company. The land swap, which still needs final approval, was separate from the controversial initiative that's embroiling Florida's environmental agencies. This is a picture of the area. This is the Withlacoochee State Forest, which is up by the Inverness area, Citrus County, and the deafening bipartisan uproar over the Florida Department of Environmental Protection's plans to add golf courses, hotels, and more to 9 state parks has rocked the state in the past week, causing one group behind the push to withdraw its proposal for Jonathan Dickinson State Park in Martin County. But in June, months before those plans were unveiled, Florida's top officials approved a transfer of 324 acres of state forest land to a Hernando County golf course company in an effort to separate from the Florida Environmental Agency's current state parks initiative. The company, Cabot Citrus Opco LLC, already owns a luxury golf resort with several rolling emerald courses in Brooksville, directly adjacent to the Withlacoochee State Forest parcel. It's the first American resort run by Cabot, a Canadian luxury golf course developer with courses from Bordeaux, France, to Scottish Highlands, to the Caribbean island of St. Lucia. On its website, the company promises players in Brooksville that they'll be able to tee off among pristine natural beauty. Governor Ron DeSantis, Agricultural Commissioner Wilton Simpson, Attorney General Ashley Moody, and Chief Financial Officer Jimmy Patronis, acting as the Florida cabinet, approved the swap of 324 acres of the Withlacoochee State Forest on June 12th after no discussion. The move granted the state permission to determine that the land is no longer needed for conservation purposes.
Wow, that's ugly.
Yes. Yeah.
That is ugly. That's ugly. It's a landslide too. So this is ugly on a lot of levels. The story was written ugly, but my gosh, this is ugly. If I were a Democrat and I were running against the agricultural commissioner in the next election, I would hang whoever the Republican candidate is for agriculture commissioner around the neck with this story.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if they were involved or not. This story, mark my words, is going to hang around the neck of everyone who might have been mentioned in that story as a Republican. This is, I don't know, it may not even be bad policy. They may not need it. It may be true. The state of Florida may not need this land at all. And maybe the land that they got in the land swap is way more important, valuable to the state and to conservation in general. Who knows? I'm just talking about strategy and public relations. This story is a it's just drown someone.
Yeah.
It could be, at least. But the Democrats are probably, too unqualified to come to the realization on their own.
Yeah. It's just unbelievable to me. Uh, anyway, all right. So moving on. Something that they are doing right, or at least I think they are. They're finding fraud in Amendment 4 petitions here, John. And
Go.
yeah.
Go figure. Democrats voter fraud so that they can kill babies. If anyone are going to chip in their voter fraud efforts, it's going to be so they can kill babies.
Yeah. Well, the state election investigators are targeting a group suspected of submitting bogus petitions to help get an abortion rights measure on the November ballot. Governor Ron DeSantis said Monday, confirming a probe that has sparked outrage from Democrats. DeSantis claimed the group, which he did not name, submitted dozens of petitions on behalf of dead people in support of Amendment 4.
Oh.
Yeah, along with validated petitions that did not match signatures on voter files. Our tolerance in the state of Florida for any type of election-related fraud is zero, he said. When asked about the probe at an event in Miami Lakes, we're not going to put up with it.
Yes. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah. It got me. It got me right in the feels, that one, right? We have a supervisor of elections in Osceola County who apparently violates law at will and is not removed from office. And they already suspect we have those candidates for. We have her violating state statute. We have low voter turnout. We have questions about mail-in ballots. I mean, this is the Venezuelan election. I would trust Hugo Chavez himself with our elections more than Mary Jane Arrington. But here we are. So don't say that you don't tolerate it all. You say at the very least, the governor should say we tolerate it nowhere but Osceola County. I would be fine with that statement.
Yeah. And the funny thing about that, John, is that Governor DeSantis was standing at a podium, and on the front of it was election integrity. Yeah, just like you said, we have Mary Jane Arrington here in Osceola County, who has broken election laws twice in subsequent elections.
Lied about it on TV.
Yeah, lied about it on TV, and nothing's happened to her. Well, like they said in the story.
She got a video with the secretary supporting her practically.
Yeah, it's outrageous. It's outrageous. But like they said in the story, Democrats are really upset about this investigation, including one we know very well, Maxwell Frost, the child congressman. He says that my colleagues and I are calling on the DOJ to investigate Florida State Healthcare Agency for abusing official resources to intimidate voters against Amendment 4, which would codify abortion rights. Governor DeSantis needs to be held accountable for these desperate, anti-democratic, whatever he has to say.
Wow, that's a very flamboyant answer, huh?
Yeah. Vote for Willie Montague, please.
Yeah.
Get rid of it. Get rid of Maxwell Frost.
That would be a miracle upset. That would be great. He's a much greater guy, a pastor. He's from that area. He's not an idiot boy congressman.
No.
Definitely vote for our friend Dr. Willie Montague.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what a sham of a request. This guy, he's not worried at all about the election fraud that they may have performed, right? He's only worried that they can't kill babies. That's his only interest. It's too bad that his mom wasn't a believer in abortion prior, 9 months prior to his birth.
Wow!
That,
ouch! Ooh, John, that's harsh, man.
I mean, he's talking about him has gotten me banned and suspended on Twitter before.
Yeah.
He said one time he was complaining about the death penalty, saying that it's cruel and unusual. I was like, why don't you volunteer for some experimentation processes? We'll make it better for people, and then they banned my account for saying that.
Never forget. before Maxwell Frost was the child congressman, he was a troublemaker who brought Black Lives Matter to St. Cloud, Florida. He brought all these people into St. Cloud to protest over something they knew was not a truly racial matter, and he got trounced out of town by a bunch of bikers, never to return. He was very upset about it on his Twitter feed, and he wrote about St. Cloud, saying it was a racist town. What a fool. Anyway, please vote for Willie Montague. He's the real deal. He's a genuine guy, genuine good guy. Maxwell Frost is not. He's all about himself. All right, so, John, this next headline, GOP and Dem candidates unite to claim conspiracy in the Orange Osceola state attorney race. And it's definitely questionable. I mean, look at the facts. So, in another odd turn in an increasingly bizarre Orange Osceola state attorney's race, Democratic candidate Monique Worrell and former GOP hopeful Thomas Fighter stood side by side Monday to call for a federal investigation into a purported conspiracy to boost a non-party affiliated candidate for the post. Fighter also announced he intends to file a lawsuit contesting the results of the August 20th Republican primary, which he lost soundly to Seth Hyman. Just 2 weeks after his victory, however, Hyman dropped out of the race, saying he saw no path to victory. Worrell and Fighter claim Hyman colluded with the GOP establishment to step aside, and that the goal was to avoid splitting the conservative vote with Andrew Bain, the current state attorney who is registered to no political party but was appointed by Governor DeSantis. Fighter said his lawsuit will accuse Bain, Hyman, and others involved in the alleged plot. I am here to bring attention to what was done by this Republican faction to undermine the integrity of our election process, Fighter told reporters, adding his appearance with Worrell was not an endorsement of her campaign. There are over 280,000 Republicans in Orange and Osceola counties. All of them have been deceived by this faction that is helping Ron DeSantis and Andrew Bain to maintain power over us. And you know a lot of the facts in this too, John. Fighter went on the news and said before Hyman dropped out, I think it was weeks before Hyman dropped out, that this was going to happen. And it did.
He called it. So here's the thing. This is like when I say that the GOP loves to shoot itself in the foot, this isn't even a foot shot. This is a shot to its own chin. I don't understand it. I mean, I do understand it. It makes sense, right? The strategy makes sense. This is absolutely something that a GOP strategist would come up with, and say, you know what, we can win because the demographics, the registration numbers, they don't support a Republican win here. We want to make sure that Worrell does not win. We do know that DeSantis, he goes on to a fight and then he sticks with it, right? He don't let go of it. So he got into a fight with Worrell. He's not going to let go of it. He's going to try to win that battle at all costs. This is like warrior spirit that DeSantis has. And he Worrell, and he doesn't want to let go of it. You know, so is this feasible? Yeah, it's absolutely feasible. It's happened. Now, here's the thing. You can't on one side. And people are like, oh, John, you're not a team. Be with your team no matter what. Listen, let me make this very clear. I'll never be clear enough on this issue. My team is the United States of America and the American family. That's my team. Okay? The GOP is my registration. I'm a Republican. Why? Because I agree with the platform. That if the platform is election integrity, and then you violate the election integrity so that you can win, as far as I'm concerned, you're no different than Democrats. You're no different than Hugo Chavez and Maduro. You're no different than any of the dictators in Latin America that I have experienced or that I've studied academically. You're no different than any of the other people that are doing that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's for me, I said I'd rather lose than to cheat. Well, these guys apparently, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's true in the situation. I hope that there's some fact finding in the processes that if you preach election integrity, then you got to uphold election integrity. And whatever GOP strategist came up with this idea needs to pay for having done it.
Yeah, and
That's the bottom line.
there's evidence that here locally that talks to this issue, like our own Republican Party here in Osceola County calling a special meeting to endorse Hyman. If you remember, you recall this, to endorse Hyman. It was out of the blue. Everyone was kind of surprised because it seemed like everyone was leaning towards Andrew Bain. And we've met Andrew Bain. He's a nice guy. It just seemed very odd that all of a sudden the party says, we're going to have this special meeting. Everyone's got to come. They sent out an email, sent out a text to everybody. You got to come to this meeting because we're going to officially endorse Seth Hyman. And, now we have this going on with all this. We've seen the party get involved from Tallahassee, get involved in these local primary races to undermine certain Republican candidates that they don't back, they don't believe in. I don't see why anybody would doubt this, what's happening with Fighter.
I mean, the fact is that Fighter went on the news. He went on the television cameras and he said, this is what's going to happen. These guys are enforced against me. It's election interference. They got the guy and he's going to drop out, and that's why. Right? And I've had conversations with people that they told me before that happened that this was going to happen. So, yes, I mean, absolutely. People called it. They said it was going to happen. Seth Hyman is a nice guy. Tom Fighter's a nice guy. Bain has been a good state attorney. I mean, for me, the GOP being sloppy and the GOP making strategic mistakes, because it's like, this is what happens when you're too comfortable. And this is why people hate supermajorities. This is why American citizens don't like to extend supermajority to people, because they get too comfortable. And then all of a sudden the emperor has no clothes. And it's like, okay, well, it's too hard to kill the emperor now, even though he doesn't have any clothes on.
Yeah.
And so people don't like that. What they like is for people to have to struggle and be honest and do it in an honest way and be transparent and so on. And that just didn't happen here. I mean, I don't know. It's problematic no matter what. Because the GOP can't, on one hand, be stressing election interference and election integrity, and then on the other hand, be practicing kind of dirty strategy. It's ugly. People don't trust it. It's like the mainstream media trying to fact check Trump and not fact checking this. How much credibility does that lead to?
Yeah.
So it's ugly. It's unnecessary. It's easy. What you do is you try to arrange, and you're not always successful, but you got to do the right thing, and you try to prevent people from getting in on the Republican side so that they can support Bain. In this way, what they were trying to do was to prevent Tom Fighter, who wanted to win. Now, is Tom Fighter going to win in a general election? Probably not. The demographics don't support it, right? The registrations don't support it. But you can come and you can talk with him, and if in the end he decides to run, then it's not your job to prevent him from running by endorsing somebody else. I pray that did not happen. I pray that they can't prove it, because if they can prove it, and all they would have to do is call all the recs, all the REPs. I think there were 3 counties that actually went and endorsed him. Osceola was one. Orange was one. They called the same emergency meeting. I think Polk or Lake was the other one where they called an emergency meeting and they went and they endorsed him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, the GOP, man, they don't have they're too busy. They're too busy with the vices that our party doesn't gain from.
Yeah.
And it would just be nice if we could focus on strategy to win elections. Honestly, that would be great. If they did that, and you could be proud to be a Republican. Right now, it's hard to be. I mean, looking at Osceola County, it's a disaster. Orange County, it's a disaster. We could be competitive in these counties, but we're not going to be doing it like this. I mean, that's not inspiring.
And John, we're not going to win fighting each other. And these are the things that are happening here that are upsetting many Republicans, because it's the party in Tallahassee, it's the leadership that is deciding to fight against other Republicans, especially Judeo-Christian Republicans like this here. All right. So the Republican Party of Florida removes a county executive committee. Now, the reasons why, all right, is from what we're told that the party's backed candidates did not win. And it was more the actual local ground people that won. And yeah, so this is what happened. The RPOF voted Manatee County's Florida entire Republican Executive Committee out of existence behind closed doors at the quarterly meeting of the Republican Party of Florida, this before their victory dinner. At the quarterly meeting, which preceded the RPOF victory dinner, held Saturday, September 7th at Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino. This is a free donated space, by the way. Behind closed doors, they removed the Manatee County REC, leaving an entire county without Republican representation, or more importantly, organization facing into the November election. So the reasons that were stated was, like I had said, their REC was compromised as far as they're concerned. So in other words, people like FRA members got involved and took over that REC, so they decided to shut that REC down.
They were America First faction. It's good people. I know the people who won there. They're good people. They're strong people. They're grassroots. They're pro-Trump. These are people that can help inspire people and win elections. They're not going to play along with like what we see going on with this Tom Fire situation. That's all. You know, I mean, they're not going to. They're not a party above country type of people.
Yeah.
And I think that's really the reason that they were thrown out. Now, some people are saying that this is governor's reputation, a retaliation for them being like pro-Trump people early in that primary race. Some people are saying that they did not get along with these people. Some people are saying that there was a lot of misdeeds or misfeasance on behalf of the executive committee leadership, which provided them the opportunity to shut it down. There's a lot of things that are being discussed, but the fact is, this is to remove. If you're going to remove a party, remove the one in Osceola County. They kicked members out of the party, right? They kicked members out of their party so that the chairman can win re-election. He could have won potentially regardless, but instead, what he did was he purged the rolls of the party so that he could win re-election. Right? He refused to keep minutes on his parties and refused to disseminate minutes of the parties. He refused to do process according to the bylaws of the people who were kicked out. And it's been a disastrous set of elections and selection of candidates here for years. But they're not shutting them down. So, I mean, I mean, credibility. You think that these people don't talk to each other? I mean, come on. We all have these, right? We all know each other. We all know each other. Republicans flow in small circles. Like, we know people across the state. 15 different chairmen in different counties. I'm friends with 45 Republican members in different counties. I talk to people across the state every single week about what's going on. And for them to pretend like, oh, you don't know? Well, every time you come and hack the integrity of one organization, that goes like wildfire across the grassroots.
Yeah.
People hear about it all the place, right? And then we're like, what the heck? This is happening here in Osceola. It's happening here in so-and-so. It's happening here in so-and-so. So this is really actually a battle then? We're at war with our own state party? It's wrong. It's wrong, and it's useless, and it's a distraction. And you have to be better than this. The GP has to be better than this. If you want to inspire, here's what I see forthcoming. There's going to be a third party. You're going to start seeing people who are so sick of the GOP, and they feel comfortable with that supermajority, that they're going to start taking Republicans out by going third party.
Yeah.
You're going to start seeing strong candidates go third party, Libertarian, the Constitution Party, the Independence Party, all these other third parties. there. They're going to start coming in. They're going to take dozens of people and they're going to take movements, and then they're going to take a small share of votes from the Republicans. And those small share of votes in counties like Osceola mean that the Republicans lose in District 5. And they mean that all these other races are extremely expensive.
Yeah, yeah. And I'll tell you,
So
John, back in 2020, that was my feeling, was my disgust with the party in general that led me to leaving the party and becoming a libertarian, which I had to leave right away once they jumped on the LGBTQ bandwagon. Then I was like, you know what, this is not where I stand. This is not where I'm at. And if I'm going to make change within the Republican Party, I have to be a part of it. So,
yeah,
you know,
but neither you nor I are part of, are some type of election interference, right? It's
right.
the same thing as this transgender ideology. So if the GOP is going to be okay with election interference, well, then I have no home anymore.
Yeah.
Right? If it's not a bad chairman and it's actually a statewide problem, then okay, well, I can't be associated with that.
Yeah.
Either.
No, I hear that.
I mean, they're running out of time to clean up, and I don't mean by purging the roles of honest grassroots Republicans.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, John. So before we go on to Osceola County, we have this important message from Jim Trout.
Did you know? Did you know Mary Jane Arrington, supervisor of elections, sent out texts and promoted on social media a voter registration event with members of the Osceola County Association of Realtors on June 20th of this year? Great, right?
But that's not all.
Correct, that's not all. What's more interesting is the rest of the story. Why would you have an event just for realtors, when typically realtors are some of the most engaged people in our community? Strange that there was plenty of merchandise and materials promoting Mary Jane Arrington, supervisor of elections, all materials paid for with your tax dollars. This isn't meant to upset you, it's meant to inform you, because the more you know, the better informed you are when you cast your vote this November.
Come on, guys.
All right, John. So starting this off, and this was a big deal. Everyone was talking about it in Osceola County. The commissioners did approve the mobility fee hike. People are of different minds about this thing. Osceola County commissioners voted 4-1 Monday to enact the state's highest mobility fees, but will give developers a little over 9 months before they go into effect. The vote came after more than a dozen speakers, mostly from the development and real estate industry, spoke against the fees, calling them unjustifiable. The fee for new homes would more than double from the current rate of $10,000 to $21,710. The rate for new apartments would go from $7,754 per unit to $14,040 per unit, representing an 81% increase. And we do have a look at what the rest of these are going to look like, John. This is the breakdown of how this will look. So the current fee, so like say for condos and apartments, we talked about that, townhomes, the current one is $7,754. The revised fee is going to be $17,312. That is a 111% increase. Assisted living and nursing homes, that's not that big, as far as depending on where you're at. So, like, if you're in the East Lake Tahoe mixed use district, right, it's going to be more than it would be anywhere else. Shopping centers, currently $21,375. The new fee would be $24,603. It would actually be a little bit less in the East Lake Tahoe district. But over in St. Cloud, right, it would go from $8,889 to $19,334. That's at 117% increase. Fast food restaurant with drive-through. This one's really incredible. The current fee is $14,802. The revised mobility fee for the county would be $166,448. That is a 1,024% increase.
Yeah, they're gonna have to import cats from Springfield at that kind of rate.
So this would be a completely new fee in the city of St. Cloud at $130,799. But as you can see, these fees in the city of St. Cloud are a lot more. So St. Cloud hasn't voted on this yet. They're supposed to vote on it Thursday. We'll have to see if it goes through, but it's crazy.
You can see that these are coordinated, right? These are coordinated. You think that the city and the county aren't talking. They're coming up with these fee costs together, and this is a joint thing that they did.
Yeah, absolutely. So what they go on to say is Commissioner Ricky Booth, a former school board member, was unimpressed with the speaker's testimony, saying he had heard it all before from developers who said the study was flawed and warned that the fees would destroy the local economy. That's what I heard 10 years ago in 2014 when we were passing an impact fee for the school district, he said. I heard the exact same things again in 2018 when we went to pass another increase to the impact fees as a school board member. The exact same things. None of them ended up being true. It really sounded like he was campaigning. Commissioner
said the moron who spent $1 million to put his face on a football field, $1 million of taxpayer money to put his ugly mug on the football field on St. Cloud High. Yeah. Give me a break. This guy is pure campaign mode. That means absolutely meaningless. He's full of trash. He's a bag of skin with trash on the inside, just like Hawkins was. And they are development people. He benefits. He sold his land, property rights, development rights. His family did to the state and got millions of dollars. Yeah. He's the main beneficiary of a lot of the Southport connecting infrastructure that's going in. His family is, his wife was a school trying to prop her up. She's an absolute imbecile, but they're trying to prop her up and make her a state rep. Listen, they're hand in hand with the developers. They're one and the same.
The thing is this, John, you have to ask this. If Ricky Booth is so against development, why did his family sell off all that land to create Waterland, which people don't really know about? And I hope that people who watch our show do know about Waterland and what's coming. What is coming? 30,000 new homes south of St. Cloud. 30,000 new homes between Kenansville and St. Cloud. This will definitely impact St. Cloud. This is the reason for the new turnpike entrance that's being built out there. This is another reason for the Southport connector, which is going to go through there. This is a nightmare, and it is brought to you by Ricky Booth and his family. Don't believe for 1 minute that he is against development. He's all right talking about it and saying that he's against development when he's up on the podium there or when he's out in public and he has to face the community. But the truth is, when you look at the money that they've made, it speaks otherwise, and especially when you look at Waterland and how big this thing's going to be. It's just a nightmare, John. It's a nightmare what St. Cloud's becoming.
Acres for more than $100 million this family has had in transactions, land transactions. This is it's unfathomable that he could be against against land development projects when he's pretty much part of the genesis of it.
Yeah,
it's BS. It's pure BS. It's theatric. If they're like there's a Grammy for singers. There's Oscar for acting in movies. There's Tonys for people who act in plays. There's got to be some kind of political award for people who perform on the dais. I don't know what it would be.
You know,
The
we're
30s or
going to
something.
have to come up with that award, John. We're going to have to create it.
The 30. The 30. I like the 30. That's good. He is.
Well, the greatest thing or the most ridiculous thing that came out of this meeting where they voted on this thing was Brandon Arrington. All right, and
wait. The failed actor, the literal failed actor.
Yeah, and he put on.
Debbie Rambis says that he studied. He tried to go be an actor in New York and failed. He tried to go to Los Angeles and failed acting there, and then he comes here and he acts on the dais now.
Yeah. He put on a performance at this meeting, John. And let's listen. Let's listen to this pompous ass right here.
Everyone else that came out to speak today, it's interesting, commissioners, and I think everybody's saying, nobody wants to be here, but there's two reasons why we're here today. One, we live in the low tax state of Florida, where we do not charge a lot of taxes, and the burden gets pushed back onto local government.
Oh, boo-hoo.
Pause it.
Yeah.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The local government has no burden. Local government has zero burden. The local government is supposed to execute the will of the people, the residents of that municipality. The burden belongs to the taxpayer, not to the municipality. Municipalities don't have these burdens. They have liabilities as an organization, but they don't have any burdens. The burden is a duty.
Yeah.
They have a duty. That's their burden. And this is a typical Democrat, leftist, socialist who believes that the money actually, all the money actually, and the rights belong to the government, not to the people.
Yeah.
This guy's a piece of trash. This guy, him and Ricky Booth, if he and Ricky Booth had a child, it would be a bag of garbage with hot feces in it.
Well, they definitely could play the roles in the new version of Step Brothers, but listen.
Okay, we need to meme that. That is a meme in the making right there.
Yeah.
We need to make a notification on that.
Yeah, you got to send me a reminder so I can create that one. But here, listen on to what he has to say.
And so we have to have mobility fees and impact fees to be able to actually pay for transportation that is impacting the state of Florida. And then the second reason we're here is the historical inability of this commission over the last 40 years to hold new developments foot to the fire and pay their fair share.
Pause it. I'm sorry, Tom. Pause it. This joke has been a member of the commission for 1/3 of that time.
Yep.
He's been a commissioner for 16 years. If he wins election, he'll do another 4 years. He's complaining about what they've done over the past 40 years. He's been there for nearly 20.
Yeah.
Don't fall for this crap. This guy's not only is he a terrible commissioner, but he's a terrible actor.
And I say that because through the 80s and the early 90s, we didn't charge anything. We encouraged urban sprawl and buying schools for school sites that were cheap land, so we had to bus kids far out. Then when I got elected to this commission, we had a Republican majority board. We waived impact fees. We did away with all of them because we wanted to encourage and incentivize economic development. Unfortunately, when you do that, you put the burden back on the taxpayers. So our taxpayers that are here today, and that we've done it twice, I think we've waived impact fees twice while I've been on this commission over the past couple of years. I mean, I know no one on this board has been a part of that, and I know I didn't vote for that as well.
Nah, I don't know about that. We'll have to go back and check the record, John.
Fact check that.
Yeah.
So that's why we're here, folks. Also, this isn't moving fast. And I say this isn't moving fast because
And I also want to point out one thing. Notice he blames everything and everyone but himself. He takes no accountability for the situation that Osceola County is right now. No accountability.
Should have done this 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we did an entire study. They brought back a giant plethora of numbers and data, and our staff, and I'm assuming some commissioners, because we never got to bring in and discuss it, thought it was too much of an increase on our community, so we delayed it. So we have delayed this, and we have not only given away $20 million, which would be the impact over the next 6 months, but probably $100 million in the increase in these mobility fees for our community. And Commissioner Jader, you are 100% correct that the biggest complaint I receive in my community is our transportation network. And at the same time, this county commission has gone out twice now, just like Polk County, just like Orange County, just like Hillsborough County, to put an extra penny sales tax in our community to pay.
He can't help but bring up the penny. You know, he wants that penny.
He wants that penny bad. He wants that penny
for the infrastructure that we needed in advance of new development. Unfortunately, that penny has died twice, and I'm sure there's some people who probably spoke here today that spoke in favor of killing that penny both those times as well. So, once again, folks, we're here. Our population continues to increase. Granted, Polk County is outpacing us for development, but we actually have to take care of the needs and concerns of our citizens. And yes, the gentleman, and I hate to giggle when you did get up here and say, I apologize for being late because I was in traffic. Because that's the reality of our community. And as long as we have an extra 100,000 guests in our community every single day, and as long as half of our school population is driven to school every single day, we are going to continue to face challenges when it comes to our infrastructure network. There is no way around that. The state of Florida is not building any more state roads through Osceola County. We do not have an abundance of those, so we lack that opportunity as well. So that's why we're here. And I guess.
All right, enough of him. Enough of him. You know,
I can't stand that guy.
He just continues to blame everything and everyone but himself. He takes no accountability whatsoever. And then he's campaigning. You know, he talks about the penny. He's blaming the people, saying, it's your fault because you didn't vote for that penny. This guy is just a ridiculous. Please don't like this guy again.
He's done that multiple. He holds that penny, and he warned. I think he threatened the community last time. If you don't vote for this penny, you're going to be complaining about traffic. We're complaining about you. The number one complaint isn't traffic. The number one complaint is about you because you. That's the number one complaint. The number two complaint is traffic.
We'll have to see what goes on with these mobility fees. I don't believe for 1 minute that developers are going to have to pay more. They were giving them kickbacks to begin with.
They're going to give all those mobility fees back. Yep, that's what they're going to do.
They were giving them credits and all kinds of kickbacks.
Yep.
You'll never see it.
Exactly.
So we'll see what happens there. But anyway, John, once again, and you were involved in this, the school board votes down the chaplain program one more time. Here's a picture of John with his new haircut, looking real dapper with that haircut. The Osceola County School Board voted down a chaplaincy program that would have allowed clergy to act as school counselors for the second consecutive time. Board member John Arguello, who supported the measure, said he plans on bringing up the item for a third time at the next meeting. What's the difference between meeting with a chaplain and a guidance counselor, right? We have guidance counselors that are nightmares for our kids, and the parents come and they complain to me later, said Arguello. But board member Julius Melendez, outgoing board member Julius Melendez, said he thinks the district's time and money is better spent educating children rather than figuring out how to implement the program. He says, and that was my critical issue, is that we have students that aren't reading and writing at grade level, that are not performing proficiency on math scores yet. We're going to take them out of the math class to get some counseling. Dozens of people spoke both for and against the program during public comment. This time around, I don't believe Lucian Greaves was there this time, was he, John? The Satanist, the leader of the satanic cult.
No, not yet. The leader of the satanic temple is not there. He was there before, but believe me, this is Team Satan that won round two. Listen, I'm going to say this, and I'm very serious. This may sound like but I'm very serious. Team Satan is fighting for your kids. You should be fighting for your kids too. If you're not part of Team Satan, you should be fighting for your kids. You should go to that next school board meeting. I can't talk about it, but you should go to that next school. Make your voice heard. If the Satanists are fighting for your kids, if the LGBTQ blah 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 ideologues are fighting for your kids, you should be fighting for your kids too. If you don't think it's important, you're making a mistake, because those are the people that are controlling education right now. These crazy leftists, the Team Satans that sit next to me on either side of me, are controlling education. And believe me, that's not a good environment for your child. They can pretend like everything is great, but the only thing that's happening is great is the relationship between most of our teachers and most of our students. That is great. You know what else is great? The careers of people who sit around me, those are going great. But the education results, academic results, in the school district of Osceola County are not going great. They may be going better than last year, but that's still not even good, much less than great. So until that's the case, I mean, it requires your attention as a parent. You should be involved. Come to that next meeting. I think this reporter did make a mistake. Dozens of people did not speak against it. Dozens of people spoke for it. Dozens of people did not speak against it. Some people spoke against it, and that's a detail that is important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people from our community, and it's not from our community. Everybody from our community actually spoke in favor, except for one or two people. So that's something that is worth noting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a few of those videos are going to come out online of the people speaking out for it, not against it.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me that the Satanists didn't show up this time around, especially Mr. Greaves.
I think one was there.
There were some there.
One lady, one lady with a upside down cross hanging around her neck, and was saying that she was going to have a Satanist chaplain come to the schools for her.
Unbelievable, unbelievable. You know, John, I'm wondering though if Lucian Greaves got a personal assurance from the other school board members or for somebody from the district that he didn't have to come back, that they're going to shoot this down, that he wouldn't have to worry about it anymore. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't surprise me either. And I want to mention one more. These school board members are detestable. Right? Teresa Castillo hates God. She said much. She hates God, and she thinks that religion is bad and whatever. Okay. The other school board member that didn't show up is basically a little coward that didn't show up. And the guy was apparently at some rodeo instead of this board meeting. He could have phoned in and made a vote. He could have done a lot of things. He chose to be a coward. Purely orchestrated. They knew that they were going to go down 2-2 because somebody had already spoken to Heather Cahoon. They got her assurance that she would vote yes. She ended up voting yes until Ramsey could not make a vote, because otherwise that would mean that it would pass. And then Melendez, obviously, it takes nothing but some breadcrumbs for him to sell his entire soul to the devil. I'm glad that the devil was at a recent meeting to collect on it, because that's exactly what he did. And I'm sure that at some point he's going to have to turn over that soul to the devil himself, because that's all he's good for. He's a traitorous bastard. He betrayed the community of Osceola County. He's been talking about a committee. The committee motion comes up, and then he lies. He talks about academic performance. Pure lies. And then he says, oh, well, I don't want them to miss class. Where do you think that they go when they talk to a guidance counselor? When they go and talk to a guidance counselor, where do you think if they went to a chaplain and said that's going to reduce their academic performance? Purely idiotic.
Yeah.
And exactly how he best described.
Yeah.
And he's also owned by the establishment now. And
just a reminder to the voters, Scott Ramsey missed this meeting, okay, because he had to attend a rodeo. All right.
Supposedly.
Supposedly. I mean, this is what you can expect from Scott Ramsey as a school board member going forward, is that he's going to miss meetings for things that he deems more important to himself. So be smart when you go to vote in November. Vote for Paula Bronson. don't vote for Scott Ramsey, because Paula Bronson will be there at the meetings. That's going to be important to her, not something else like it is for Scott Ramsey. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
all right. So, St. Cloud residents, I can't believe this story, John. This is incredible. Some of these residents over at Lake Runnymede Trailer Park in St. Cloud regularly go without water for hours. It's crazy. That's one of the residents. For nearly a year, residents at Lake Runnymede Mobile Home Park in St. Cloud have turned on their faucets only to get discolored water with the aroma of rotten eggs. But often nothing at all comes out. The problem has gotten so bad that some residents take buckets of slimy green liquid from the park's unchlorinated pool to flush toilets. The flow of water is sporadic, they say, but they can go as many as 13 hours a day without water. That's crazy. Runnymede residents say, yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable. Runnymede residents say park management tells them the water pump isn't working consistently due to electrical issues that frequently trip the breaker. They have contacted local and state officials looking for a fix, but they say it's been to no avail. Although the state is now monitoring water quality in the park and insists it is safe to drink, many residents say they want to leave as they face increasing rent and calls to management go unanswered. But they're stuck as they can't find anything affordable. It's only the latest issue at Lake Runnymede, a corporate-owned park with roughly 70 lots whose beleaguered residents helped inspire local state representative Paula Stark to pass legislation giving mobile home dwellers more clout in disputes with management. But Stark's efforts have fallen short in ownership situations like this one, frustrating her and other advocates. It's just crazy, and I don't know who supplies water to this park. I imagine it's Toho. I'm still hearing here and there, even though they are doing the line flushing and the ice pigging of the lines consistently, they haven't found a permanent fix to the water issues in St. Cloud. Still hearing from certain residents here and there about brown discolored water coming out of their faucets. I remember many people coming out when the sale of the water happened, saying that this was a good thing for St. Cloud to sell our utility to Toho, that they were going to fix the problem once and for all. Here we are, 2-3 years down the road, still the same issues.
Yeah, it's still the same issues. This is what a crapshoot this sale of this thing was, and you knew it was gonna. These are loaded dice. It was gonna come out crap, no matter what. It was just a fake. And I don't know if they're the ones that provide water, but why is water there? Listen, we talked on Unsanctioned America. We talked a lot about the immigration problem in these third world countries, these asshole countries, and then coming here and turning our country into an asshole country. And that's exactly what these people are doing on the St. Cloud City Council and the county commission. They want to turn Osceola County into like a Detroit. What we see going on in Springfield, they want to see people eating cats and dogs here. I mean, it's like everything that they touch is ruined. You might as well make Julie this mayor of Osceola County, because there's no way to make it happen any faster. It's crazy. We're having water problems in St. Cloud. Houses cost $500,000 and up, but you can't get clean water.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. These people should be tarred and feathered. I can't believe that they're elected. It just speaks to the quality of the electorate sometimes. If you can be deceived by a couple of postcards, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it takes for your water to be shut off for you to actually get involved and active. You got to start putting your civic duty first, so that you can get the civic outcome later. Then, right? If you want the civic services, then you're going to have to put your civic duty first. And so maybe all this is happening in good timing. It gets these Americans off their butts and into the elections, and it gets them working. And then if we do that, maybe they can hold some of these politicians accountable. Right now, they can't hold anybody accountable because they don't even vote.
No.
Right? And when they do vote, they go and they vote for these same morons that they're going to go and vote for Ricky Booth, which is just plain stupidity. You're going to vote for Ricky Booth? Okay, well, I mean, then you're going to get Ricky Booth results. It doesn't matter if it's in the city of Kissimmee. Any of these elected county commissioners can call the city and be like, hey, you got to fix these problems. We work together. We got to do something. But nobody ever resolves anything. All they do is go and touch things. Everything they touch turns to crap.
Yeah, it's true. The only politician that's worth saving this election cycle for re-election is Paula Stark. And I think these residents at Lake Runnymede know that. They know that Paula Stark has gone to bat for them. Paula Stark has gone to bat for the community.
They better get out of their mobile homes. They better hit those phones. They better hit those sidewalks. They better hit those doors. They better work hard because she's got a tough race.
Yeah, she does.
If Paula Stark is one that they want to keep, then they better work for it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, John. So finally wrapping up this episode of Unsanctioned Florida. There's a fake doctor on the loose, John, and he's in St. Cloud. This St. Cloud man is accused of practicing medicine without a license. Here's the story.
For this man, they say that he's practicing medicine without a license, targeting some of Central Florida's most vulnerable. And it's not the first time this has happened. News 6's Mark Lehman's in Orange County now this morning. And this man even had an office at one point, Mark.
Yeah, and that office was here off of Orange Blossom Trail and was shut down after his arrest last year. Investigators releasing this detailed report where they say the man took a lot of measures to fool his patients. Now, he posted bond on those original charges, and now he's wanted again for doing the same thing. A search is happening this morning for a man investigators are calling a fake doctor that continues to fool his patients. A warrant has been issued for this man, Juan Carlos Munoz. He was first arrested in November after the Metropolitan Bureau of Investigation says he didn't have a license for practicing medicine from his office on South Orange Blossom Trail near Waterbridge Boulevard. During an undercover visit, detectives say they found what appeared to be fake diplomas on the walls, and Munoz advertised himself as Dr. Superlife. According to the MBI, Munoz would target specific groups that would pay him in cash. At the time of his November arrest, the Department of Health called him, quote, a direct threat to the community, especially to the elderly, Mexican culture, and undocumented farmers. Investigators say after Munoz posted bond following his November arrest, they got a tip that he was still practicing medicine, but this time from a house in St. Cloud. Anyone who knows where Munoz is urged to call Crime Line at 800-423-TIPS. For now, reporting live in Orange County, Mark Lehman, getting results, News 6.
Well, that's the first rule is you never pay a doctor with cash, especially nowadays. But, this guy is preying on the elderly. He's preying on poor people, Mexicans that don't have the money for a doctor, that might have some cash. This guy is a real piece of crap.
Yeah, he really is. I'm sure he's going to get caught up here soon, and I hope that they square him away. I'm sure he'll be playing doctor in a jail cell at some point. He might not like the payment.
No, not at all. And that's another thing. If somebody is saying they're a doctor and they're working out of their home, don't believe it. Don't believe it. All right, John. So that's it. We're ending at 1 hour and 23 minutes.
All right. Well, thank you so much for another episode of Unsanctioned Florida. We love you. We appreciate watching, sticking with us throughout the show. We've been doing it for quite a while now. It's it seems like we got so many quirks out. Now we're each doing it for our home studios, and that's kind of a different format too. So we hope that that's made it better, and we really appreciate you guys. And so thank you for sticking with us. Until next time, please like and share the show on behalf of School Board Member John Arroyo and my great friend here, Citizen Tom Lord. God bless you, and we'll see you next week.